शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये. Welcome to all. Today we would like to discuss the Snehapana out of the Panchakarma. We commonly hear the Snehasaroyam Purusha. Snehasaroyam Purusha Pranascha Sneha Purusha. The prana are pranaha because the n number of Dashavidha pranas have been told. But Snehasaroyam Purusha. Without there is, if there is no unction or the fat, there will be no life. This is what the otherwise statement of the Sneha Saroyam. How come the Sneha is so important and how we are using the Snehapana as a treatment or otherwise even the Koshtagata dosha to bring back to the Shakha and thereby Shakha to Koshta, Koshta to Shakha. Yes, the migration of the doshas are going to be there. Whenever the dosha are at the Shakha, they give rise or develop the disease. And whenever they are being brought to the Koshta, the Koshtagata doshas are to be eliminated. The purpose of this Snehapana, basically, which we are going to make out or think, is the Shakha dosha to bring back to the Koshta and thereby the elimination to be done. Is it is only limitation or is there any limitation of the Sneha with reference to that of the rest of the diseases and the organ-wise diseases? Sneha karma in common as a Bhakya Snehana and Abhyantara Snehana, twofold we are going to speak. At present, we are not speaking this Bhakya Snehana. Out of this Abhyantara Sneha, otherwise the Snehapanam is the term which is referred to only Abhyantara Sneha. This Abhyantara Sneha is going to be once again used with a twofold classification or otherwise twofold therapies as Sodhananga Snehapana and Shamananga Snehapana. When we are saying the Shamananga Snehapana, we are not calling it as a Sneha Karma, but it is a Snehapana in fact. In the Sodhananga Snehapana, we have the different patterns of Snehapana. Commonly, the terms which we include are the Achapana or Achapeya, Snehapana, and Avapedaka Snehanam, and also we go with the Autara Bhaktika Snehanam. There is one more term also, Pragbhakta Snehapanam, Autara Bhaktika Snehapanam. When we have these many terminologies, whether these terminologies of the Snehapana are actually referred to what extent of utility in the disease patternization has to be understood. Whenever we start with the Snehapana, it is a quantification is the one of the major things. Quantification out of that to understand the Agni level is the best thing which is being said. Understanding the Agni of the individual, we have to give the dosage of the Snehapana. How to understand the Agni quantification? Further, the digestion is the one of the method, and out of the digestion duration, we are going to derive what sort of the quantity and how much of the quantity has to be given. There are many questions which are going to come out. Commonly, Panchatitta Dhrita, Dashamula Dhrita, some of the medicated gifts are being practiced as a Snehapana. Whether this Snehapana using a disease classification Dhritas is right or wrong is a very big question and a debate. First of all, we have to understand what is this Sneha. The Sneha is supposed to be Snehanam Sneha Vishyanta Madhava Kleda Karaka. This is what the Charaka says, any substance which is going to be giving rise is Sneha, Snigdhata, Vishyandata, Mardavata, and Kledata in the body. Otherwise, as Susuta said, the Sneha Mardhavakut, Snigdha Balavarna Karastada. Snigdha Balavarna Karastada. Here the Bala and Varna also being included by the Susuta. If you see, Snigdhata is referred to the topic Kledata. Kleda is Klid Dhatu is a Apdhatu. Kleda Dhatu main Lakshana or its function is to make the adhesion. The adhesion and cohesion of the individual cells in the body or their protection is referred to that of the Snehapana and Sneha in the body. It is the reason why the Sneha Saroyam Purushaha has been said. Mardhava Kledakarakam, this we can understand to some extent. Vishyandanam iti Vilayanam. What is this Vishyandana is Vilayana? What Vilayana is going to be done in the body? What Vilayana is going to be done? The Vilayana is a dosha Vilayana is being understood according to Ayurveda. But practically, as we are knowing, what are the blood components and what blood components are going to be eliminated out. In that way, we have to understand dosha with reference to that of the biochemistry also. When we see this lipids or the fats, these fats, according to the Vaiseshika Darshana, Rupas, Rasas, Parsanavatyadi, Apodravas, Snigdha. Here the three Panchabhutika or Panchabhutas referral Indriyas are being referred. It is Snigdhata is being seen, Snigdhata can be tasted, and Snigdhata can be evaluated by the touch. Rupa Rasa Sparsavatyadi Apodrava Snigdhaha, which is unction, unctuous, where there is an adhesion, it is going to be understood as the Apodravya is the Snigdha Dravya. Here this Panchabhuta Sanghatana has been understood. Prudhvi Ambu Guna Bhuyishtaha Nehaha. Here the Parthiva Dravyas and Apadravyas are going to be there, and Snigdha Ruksha Chichushaha. This is what the Susuta says. Snigdha Ruksha Chichushaha. Snigdhatva and Rukshatva is also going to be understood as a opponent quantities, qualities which we commonly interpret with reference to the doshas and dhatus also. It is Dravam, Sukshmam, Saram, Snigdham, Pichilam, Guru Sitalam, Prayo Mandam, Mruducha, Yat Dravyam, Tat Snehanam. This guna based Snigdha Dravyas are going to be giving rise or generating a different levels of the adhesion in different cellular structures. It could be intermuscular or on the neural. Commonly, which we are going to see, Apadravya or the water is going to be more in the muscular area, and the Snehadravya is going to be encircling the Majja Dhatu. Otherwise, Mastaka Majja, Mastulinga Majja, Majja is referred to the neural tissue, and the nerve is going to be uncovered or engulfed with the fat to give rise to protection and also even the neural electrical conductive leakage not to happen in the pathways. When this Kleda Dhatu, Yasya Kledane, Shakti Saha Snigdha, this is the Hemadri commentary. Yasya Kledane Shakti Snigdha. Here, one more small point of coverage which we have to bring is Kledana, when we are going to say, we can understand this C, H, and O, carbohydrate, commonly C6, H12, O6, which we are saying. All these CHO compounds and components are going to be with the molecular adhesion and the proteins and the fats which make these adhesions to exist. Otherwise, either it is the bonding of the different, either it would be of the simple bonding or covalent bonding and etc. This bonding of the structures are going to be get incorporated and they are being used to give rise a proper elimination of the bio waste which is being accumulated in the human body because of the different systems functioning or the which are different activities happening within the body. Now, we have come across this Sodhananga Snehapana exclusively could be brought under the terminology of the five. The first one is the Achapeya Kevala Sneha, where it is being used by the Vagbhata. Commonly, people are going to use either the Amurchita Grita or the Murchita Grita or the Tailas. Here, the Murchita, not only Grita, Taila, even Chatusneha, Mahasneha, Trivrit Sneha also can be used with the same reference of the Murchita, Sneha, Amurchita Sneha. Here, the terminology clarification is to be given. Amurchita Sneha is the Kevala Grita or Kevala Taila, which is being brought directly from the shop. Now, the Murchita Taila, Murchita Grita, the Murchana is going to be done with the number of the ingredients. Mostly, these ingredients are going to be with the reference to Trivrut and its corresponding, where the lipids which we are using with the longer chains are being made as a bonded with the smaller chains. This breaking of the chains are going to be used here. We have a tendency of making the Dhruta Patra Pakam before do that of the giving in Snehapana. Why this Snehapana is going to be made the Murchana? The Murchana commonly, Amurchita Sneha is directly consumption of the Sneha. The Murchana has got another meaning of it also. The heated or Patrapaka done with the Ghrita, when we are going to make this Patrapaka is a Sodhana for that of the Ghrita. It is a plain ghee, for example. We are not giving any sort of the medicated ghee, not even the Triphala or any other things which are used in the Murchita Sneha, either the Taila or Ghrita. At that time also the Murchana is going to be done for the Ghrita or the Taila. What is that Murchana is? First we have to heat the plate or the vessel on the flame, and we should not pour the Taila or the Ghrita which is to be consumed by the person. We have to take out the vessel from the fire when it is heated and we have to pour it. With that, what actually happens is moisture which is settled in the lipids, that is either of this Ghrita or the Taila, is going to be taken off. That is, otherwise, demoisturization of this Snehana has to be done to make sure that it is not being added with the of or associated with the of any fungal or bacterial contamination. A non-bacterial and fungal contamination to ensure and to give a protected ghee, that Patrapaka is to be done. This Patrapaka is said as the Murchana. But in the later courses, with the references from the Ayurveda, adding the Triphala plus contents to the top and getting prepared is being stated as the Murchita Sneha or the Murchita Taila, Murchita Grita. It can be used for the as a Achapeya also. But still a question is going to be there. Achapeya Kevala Sneham. Here Kevala Sneha, when we are using, the another term which we are incorporating is the Sajja Sneha, Sajja Snehanam Sasaindhavam. When the Sajja Sneha Sasaindhava is there, Kevala Sneha means without adding the salt, and Sajja Snehana is adding with the salt. If at all we understand in this way, then we have to have another classification or the classification rewritten. The Acha Sneha, Murchana has to be done. The Murchana is the demoisturization. But here the demoisturization of the Kevala Grita is to be done. Kevala Dhrita means without adding any medication or without adding the Saindhava is a question. Here, Sajja Snehana is being done with the Sa Saindhavam. The Sa Saindhavam dose is to be given for the limited time only. Usually, it is only once. That means in the durations of the days, 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, which we are following, if at all within 1 day we have to complete the Snehapana and obtain the Digdha Lakshanas. At that time, we have to use the Sajja Snehapana, Saindhava Snehapana. Commonly, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, which we are following either of the Arohana Krama or the Stiranka Sadharana Snehapana. Stira Anka Sadharana Snehapana. Like 50 grams 1 day, second day 50 grams, third day 50 grams. At that time, we are not going to use the Saindhava in it. Kevala Sneha, that goes as a referral to that of the Acha Sneha, whether you give with the medication or non-medicated. Here, when it is with the Murchita, Dhrita or Taila, what is wrong with the other things? All are of the medicated. There the without medication or with medicated, that which you have to take out or select accordingly. Now, when I see the entire Snehapana Kramas, the third term which is going to be referred is the Autara Bhaktika Snehapana. Autara Bhaktika Snehapana is the after meals when the Snehapana is being done. In fact, the Autara Bhaktika Snehapana, Purva Bhaktika Snehapana, the Snehapana which we are making commonly is the Purva Bhakta Snehapana or the Uttara Bhakta Snehapana, which is going to be given according to the dosha, especially Panchavidha Vatas referral to the dog, we have to make it. This Ahara, Aushadha, Sevana, Kalas, which are being referred by the Shanghara, in a different areas also we can use it. All the things which are used as a Snehapana Krama are to be turned according. That means a big freedom is being given according to Muhurmuhu Snehapana. Why not we could use the Muhurmuhu Snehapana out of the Dasavidha Aushadha Kala, whichever are being given, that all Kalas can be used accordingly. But only this Panchavidha Vata, referral with that of the Bhuktatvam, is a main line of the classification for this Snehapana. Autara Bhaktika Snehapana is after the meal Snehapana. Like the same, Purva Bhaktika Snehapana is before to that of the Snehapana. Now, you may be having a question. Is that the Purva Bhaktika Snehapana means Achapaya? Maybe and may not be even. Because the Achapaya, if suppose a person is going to be consuming in the morning hour a Snehapana after brushing or after following his daily regimen, when he is undergoing this Snehapana, usually he doesn't consume any of the food and Snehapana is taken. After that, it is going to be with the Sahapana of the Dugdha and Anupana of the Vyagata. But in the Autara Bhaktika Snehapana, there is no specificity that before to that of the Snehapana, nothing is to be consumed. Before to that of the meals, the Purva Bhaktika Snehapana and Autara Bhaktika Snehapana is after the food. Now we have to have a clear-cut understanding Avapedaka Snehapana, how it is going to be done. Then we can estimate and understand the Purva Bhaktika Snehapana, Autara Bhaktika Snehapana as a components of the Autara Bhaktika Avapedaka Snehapana. And the second is the Achapeyam, and third is the Sajja Snehanam or Sasaindhava Snehanam. Here only three things are going to be there. All the Snehas, Samayas, after the classification, we have to follow always, all the time, the Murchana with the Patra Pakam. Whenever this is going to be done, the moisturization of the Gruta or the Taila, which is being used as per Snehapana, that is going to make the very specifically effective to digest and also effective to reach the target. Now, when I am speaking the target, many a times we are practicing this Snehapana at a very casual level as a Sodhananga Snehapana, as if we are thinking we are doing a better unction for the patient. Vyadhi Hara Snehas, which are there. What is the rationality of using a Kalyanaka Grita when we are using a Unmada Snehapana Grita, and it is not of the Snehapana, Sneha mentioned for that of the Sodhananga Snehapana. Yes, Sodhananga Snehapanas are supposed to be always dosha utkleshakara snehas. Now, what are the dosha utkleshakara snehas? Suppose a kapacha vyadhi is there. Madhura dravya yukta. Madhura dravya yukta grita to be used as a kapha utkleshakara sneha. How and why? Is there any specified reference as such? I am going to speak out. In the Charaka Samhita and also in the Vargbhata, there is a one small thing has been said. Badari Patra Grata Brishtam Sasaindhavam is to be given for the Swarabhanga. Here, Grata Brishtam is only titulated in the Grita or along with the Grita. That means the Badari Patra you have to squeeze and you have to get the juice, and the juice is being added with the Grita along with the Saindhava. All these things has to be properly diluted. For that, you require a good amount of the Sneha. That means a minimum 20-25 ml, which we are giving as a Rasiyasi Matra. This is an example of the different materials which are having the Kapotkleshaka effect. Such things are to be added with. The second is we have to go with the Vamanopaka Dravya Siddha, for that of the Vamana, Virechanopaga Siddha Grita or the Sneha for the Virechana, and so on, as the Vopaga Dravyas, the Karmopaga Dravyas has been mentioned in Ayurveda. At that time, they are going to facilitate the actual Kriya Karma which we are trying to make for the individual. Now, we may use the system targeted medications also, or the Kashaya Dravya. 50 Kashaya Dravyas have been nomenclated or said by the Charaka, and Susrutokta Ganas are there. These Ganas, Kakolyadi Gana, etc. These Ganas are given with the Palasruti. These are said to be used for that of the Vyadhi Harana or the Shamananga Snehapana. When we are using it, the Dravyas as a Sodhananga Snehapana, Kaphavardhaka Ganas or the Vatavardhaka Ganas, according to we have to use. If suppose we are giving the Vamana Karma at the time, Kapha Vardhaka Gana Dravya Snehana, Sneha is to be given as a Snehapana. Now, when the duration is going to be come into the criteria, the duration of the 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, which we are using. 1 day also I said. 1 day for the Sajja Snehapana, 3 days, 5 days, and 7 days. When we are looking at the patients who are being given with that of the Snehapana, commonly which we have to understand with the dosha utkleshakara lakshana. Kapha is understood, utklesha is reached with the trillasa. When you give this Sneha and Kapha Utklesha has been done or occurred to understand, you need to see the stickiness of the mouth and the salivation is going to become more sticky. And secondly, the unction is going to be shine on the skin. Few people already they are having the skin which is with lots of the Mardhavata and Snehata. For them, how you are going to make it out? Then you have to observe the stools with the fats, which are going to be undigestive fats are going to be eliminated in the stools. These are the two things which we have to feel for the kapha. If at all the pitta is there, how we are going to decide the pitta utklesha is done or not? In the pitta utklesha, when we are doing the virechana karma for the pitta utklesha, first of all we have to eliminate the kapha, as this kapha chadana is not going to be seen or observed at the time of the virechana karma which we are performing. That means a virechana karma student must have a vamana as a purva karma, and after giving the vamana we have to go with the virechana karma is to be stated. Right. When this virechana karma is to be done, at the time whether the snehana is to be given once again or not. Many a times it is a question, and to give rise a pitta utkleshana, we can use the pitta utklesha dravya yukta neha. And commonly, if at all we are using in Achchapeya, Achchapana as Kevala Sneha, at the time, a Pachana Dravya, Satapushpa, if we add for the Dhrita, as we are adding the patras of the Badri patras, in case of the Sorabhanga, the same way, here we can use the Satapushpa for the Dhrita. Satapushpa has to be put in the Dhrita while making the Patra Paka, or before to that when you are making, heating the Dhrita and consume it as you can. Thereby, you can use the Rasi Yasi Matra as one of the measuring component to it, and thereby a 25 ml to be digested within the 3 hours can be used. Thereby, you have to estimate how much it takes for the 24 hours to be get digested. And Hina Matra is 6 hours digestion, 12 hours digestion is the Madhyama Matra, and 24 hours digestion is the Uttama Matra. When we have this much of the information about the Snehapana, I want to speak where and when this exactly the Avapedaka Snehapana has been set. Out of this entire classification of the Snehapana, Avapedaka Snehapana seems to be one of the most brilliant ideology referred with that of the Aushadha Sevana Kala, and considering the Ahara Yana as one of the component, the Panchavidha Vatas referred to that of the Snehapana. In the same way, we can use all the Aushadha Kalas for the different diseases to make the Snehapana also. The Avapedaka Snehapana is specially used for that of the Mutra Vyadhi. Here the Pragbhakta Snehapana, Uttara Bhakta Snehapana. When Pragbhakta Snehapana, Uttara Bhakta Snehapana is being made, that is, the before eating, there will be a Snehapana, and immediately after that the food is consumed. After consumption of the food, once again Snehapana is given. Here the dosage is to be made a Uttama Matra, 150 to 250 ml of the Grita is to be used in the Avapedaka Snehapana. Most of the time, kidney diseases, we use 3 days, 5 days, 7 days in the pattern, but we have to see on the first day how it is being used. When we are giving this Avapedaka Snehapana, some of the common principles which we have to observe is, we have to give Chitrakadivati or otherwise Hingvashtaka Churnam, Bhaskar Lavanam, better Hingvashtaka Churnam as the Pragbhaktam to be given for the patient who is with the kidney. Because the Hingvashtaka Churna is going to reduce the colicky pain also. Here, the most of the Mutra Bandhata is very specifically said, but we can use the rest of the things also. But 150 to 250 ml according to the individual it will be given. Now, out of this, Mutra Rodha Janita Vyadhis also we have to consider where the Vasti Vankshana Vedana, Mutra Rodhata, Asrudhara, Raktarchas or Nabhigata Vata, some of the diseases which are being linked with this Avapedaka Snehapana. But a Prad-bhakta and Uttara Bhakta, dosage of the lipid or the fat of the Sneha is to be a big consideration. A Prad-bhakta is going to be acting on the Apanavata. Uttara Bhakta is going to act on the Pranavata. Even the ghee, which we are going to select for that of the Avapedaka Snehapana, also could be selected in the same way. The Prad-bhakta Snehapana, when we are doing that, dose is supposed to be high, and Uttara Bhakta Snehapana is always to be low. That means, if at all we are using for the Mutra Rodha Vyadhi, the Avapedaka Snehapana methodology, we have to use the Bhaktyamyantaka Grata as the Prad-bhakta Sneha as high dose, 100 ml of the Bhaktyamyantaka Grata to be given before, and food is consumed. After consumption of the food, the Uttara Bhaktika Snehapana has to go with the Dashamula Grata, as it has to act on the Pranavata. In many of the Mutra Vyadhis or Mutra Rodhajanya Vyadhis, hypercapnia is one of the common complaint where the respiration rate is going to be getting increased. Thereby, a Pranavata regulating Dashamula Grita is the better one to use in the Avapedaka Snehapana. There is no need of using a specified Grita only when we are using in a two different situations. The same rule is to be followed even when we are using. Today, say we are planning for that of the 7 days Snehapana, and out of the 7 days Snehapana, first day you have given the Dashamula Grita, thinking of this as a Vata Vyadhi. On the second day, when you are going to have observing some more Lakshanas with reference to that of the Pitta, you can use the other Gritas which are of the Pitta predominatives or Pitta Utklesha Dravyas also, because you want to remove the Utklesha Pitta and Utklesha Vata. Using the Dashamula Gruta for the Vamana Karma is one of the useless things which I feel in common. Now, commonly we are going to use the different Grutas like Sukumara Gruta, Vasa Gruta, Satavariyadi Grita, Mahatikta Grita. These are the common Gritas which we are going to follow it. But out of this, very unfortunately, none of them are dosha Utkleshakara Grita. We have to go with the dosha Utkleshakara Grita. Otherwise, it is better to go for the Chatapushpa Grita, Chatapushpa titurated Grita, or Chatapushpa Tailam is the best thing where the Satapushpa is going to be grinded and it is going to be boiled along with the ghee, and we are going to get a very comfortably the Grita, which is going to be a Pachana, and it is going to get Pachana immediately, and it is going to even make itself to give rise a proper effect of the Sodhananga Snehapana to make the Utklesha of the dosha. Dosha Utklesha is the most important thing which we have to understand. As I just want to say here, this Avapedaka Snehapana classification and subdivisions only shows the entire Snehapana. The Prad-bhakta is to be said as a Kevala Snehapana, which is said as a Landhana Snehapana, and Uttara Bhaktika Snehapana, after the meals which is going to be done, it is going to become the Brahmana Snehapana. If you want to make a Landhana, a Sodhana, always the Prad-bhakta Snehapana is only the methodology. If at all you want to make the Brahmana Snehapana, that is a Shamana Snehapana, then Uttara Bhaktika Snehapana has to be done. Now the second thing which I am going to speak here, this Prad-bhakta Snehapana is always a higher dosage, and Uttara Bhaktika Snehapana is with a lesser dosage. And The Chaturvida Snehas, you can use it as a Grutataila Vasamaja individually, or otherwise, you can use as a Yamaka, Trivut, Mahasnehas like that. Could be followed with the Arohana Krama Snehapana, or otherwise, you can follow the Sadharana Tiranka Snehapana. Either of the way, we are going to give rise this Digdhata for the patient. Only the question is, if it is instantaneously to be obtained, Sasaindhavam, otherwise, Sadyam, Sadhyaha, when we are saying, then we have to add this Saindhava, otherwise, there is no mandate of this Saindhava to be added for this Snehapana when we are making it for the long term, 3 days, 5 days, or 7 days. As this Auttara Bhaktika Snehapana is a Brahmana Snehapana, commonly we get in Ashtanga Hridaya as a reference, Apabhavahikam Nasyam, Snehostatra Uttara Bhaktika. Here, whenever there is Apabahu or the like a cervical spondylosis is going to be there, the Uttara Bhaktikam is to be used. You may be having a doubt in the mind. If suppose Gridhati is there, then you have to use the Purva Bhaktika or the Purva Bhaktika or Sadharana Sneha, which we have to use it. Here, the Uttara Bhaktika or the Prag Bhaktika, both could be of the Sajja Snehana, where Sasaindhava also can be given. In Vatacha Kasa, Vagbhata says, Urdhva Bhaktikam Chikitsa has to be done here. A specific reference of the Urdhva Bhaktikam reference. Here he has used the Guduchi, Guduchadi Ghritam and Ksharadi Ghritam, Rasnadi Ghritam, Vidaryadi Ghritam, Ashokadi Ghritam, Pippalyadi Ghritam, Duralabha Ghritam, Vedangadi Ghritam. What my recommendation is, commonly Pippalyadi Ghritam is one of the best one whenever there is a Patha Jakasa. Guduchadi Ghritam is good enough when it is related to that of the immunoglobulins, and Vidaryadi Ghrita as a Brahmana, when you are treating a Kasa, then it is a good, and very specifically I have seen the Gritapana which has been done is going to increase the hemoglobin percentage also. Now, the Vata Roga Hara Ghritas like the Tilvaka Ghrita or the Rasnadi Ghrita also can be used as it is a Kasa is a Vataja Kasa here. And in case of the Swarabhanga, Sukhoshta Auttara Bhaktikam is being said. Whether here to follow the Ushnodaka Anupana after the Auttara Bhaktika Snehapana or not is a question. After the Auttara Bhaktika Snehapana, no Ushnodaka Pana is going to be made. Purva Bhaktika Snehapana is given with the Ushnodaka Anupana. Otherwise, we are going to be very commonly making these 4 varieties like the Auttara Bhaktika Snehapana, Prag Bhaktika Snehapana, Sajja Snehapana, and Acha Snehapana. These 4 things which we are going to do. Main question once again, whether this question, how we are making it to understand in a format, myself have made a format to make this Snehapana. Here I am trying to show you on screen. Just to see. Can you see this? Yep, I believe you can see it. Here commonly we are going to take the patient details and later we are going to make ourselves to understand the where and how the basic data, vitals are being taken, BP, weight, height, BMI, etc. and temperature of the, and we have to perform some of the investigation before to that of the Snehapana. Very specifically sugar, and we have to go with the cholesterol, HDL, LDL, VLDL, triglycerides, and third is the bilirubin, conjugated, unconjugated, otherwise LFT and cholesterol and blood sugars has to be done very specifically before to that off, along with the blood urea and uric acid and hemoglobin. Even uric has to be done here. The care plans and other things which we have to perform, and we have to select ultimately whether we are making a sadhana, arohana krama, or sajja snehapana, or avapedaka snehapana, achapana with the plain ghee, or otherwise aushadha is to be used. What is the medicine? How much of the quantity? For 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, whether it is to be given in the morning or evening or any specific time as a Purva Bhakta, Prak Bhakta, otherwise, and Auttara Bhaktika. And we have to consider the patients and consent, and also we have to say. Here I have given how this Snehapana progress has to be made out and how much quantity has been given if it is scheduled as a progressive method, and whether the milk or juice is being given as a Sahapana, and whether Saidhava is added. Now another question may be coming. For every 10 ml of the Ghrita, use the 1 gram of the Saindhava, which is a proper ratio to add the Saindhava Lavana to that of the Snehana. And how much time he used to consume, how much time it takes for the Snehapana completion also to be understood. About the body comfort and the condition of the skin, platters, stools, and thirst, hunger levels are to be observed. Ultimately, we have to decide Atistigdha Lakshana, Samyak Snigdha Lakshana, Asamyak Snigdha Lakshana. These are being said in the commonly with Ayurvedic literature, everywhere it is available, which you can follow it. Now, the question of here, after looking the different areas of the understanding, a common question is going to come, how this Sneha used to be and why this Sneha used to be. In the very beginning, we have come across the Sneha and Kleda. These two things when we are looking, Kleda is referred to that of the water and CHO componental, which are going to be linked with that of the muscle, and always lipids and fats are going to be linked with that of the Majja, Mastaka Majja, Mastulanga Majja, or the nervous station. Thereby, we can understand how it is going to be deployed in the body. Now, I just want to take you to a very sensitive information. The bile salts are the primarily lipid soluble. All the bile salts are primarily lipid soluble. Of course, they are partially also. Uric acid is a totally lipid soluble, whereas blood urea is a water soluble. Now, lipid soluble uric acid is going to be get diluted with the fat consumed and spread in the blood. How this urea is going to be taken out by this Snehapana. When we see here, these lipids which we are giving as a Snehapana, they are bioactive lipids. These bioactive lipids, when they are having their concentration in the blood, they affect the cell function very specifically and cell signaling also. Cell function and cell signaling are being affected with the bioactive lipids which we are offering to the patient as a Snehapana. In this, there are many. Ceramide is one of the 5 specified components of the lipids. How this is going to happen in total is the fats or the lipids, the Sneha, Dravya, either it is the Ghrita, Taila, Vasa, Majja of the Yamaka, Trivrut, or otherwise Mahasneha. These things are getting digestion under the process where they are getting the contact with that of the first one is the Pachaka Pitta, second is the Malarupa Pitta, third is the Acha Pitta. That means The three varieties of the pitta are going to be in contact with that of the sneha which is being consumed. What are these? The Pachaka pitta is the hydrochloric acid which is in the stomach. Malarupa pitta is the bile which is secreted from the gallbladder, and the third is the Acha pitta which is a pancreatic fluid. These three fluids have the action to assimilate and also to absorb. When it is being assimilated and absorbed, at the time, we just see hydrochloric acid breaks this long fatty chains into shorter, and where the partially soluble, lipid soluble bile salts are going to be added with this, and they are going to convert these fats into the free fatty acids. Say lipids, when they are getting digested, ultimately they are going to become the free fatty acids. The free fatty acids are going to have commonly with the interact with the triglycerides and phospholipids of the free fatty acids. And when these are going to be observed, the free fatty acids are with one head and one tail, like a sperm. They also swim in the blood. They doesn't swim, in fact, by themselves. They flow and move. When they are going to have, the head is going to interact with that of the oxygen, and it is going to be soluble in the water. The head of the fatty acid is soluble in water, and whereas the long tail is with the carbon and hydrogen atoms soluble in fats. Now the fats are the sneha which is being administered to a patient. Following the digestion, it is going to become the free fatty acids of the medicated or bioactive. We are making the murchana is the bioactivity enhancing. The bioactivity enhancing lipids, when they follow or when they are in the digestion process, they are going to become bioactive free fatty acids, where the head is being soluble in the water, where the tail is soluble in the fat. The fat soluble is going to link with that of this water soluble, and they are going to make a saponification. When the fat and water, fat soluble and water soluble, both components are linked and they are therewith, they are going to become the emulsification, and the saponification is going to become the emulsification. When the saponification converts into the emulsification, the fatty acid tails, long fatty acid tails, which are with the carbon and hydrogen components, they are going to stick into make this emulsification ultimately. The fat globulets, which are with the long tails of the fatty acids, bioactive lipids converted into bioactive free fatty acids in the blood, they are going to be making the lipid granules or the fat granules. These fatty acids are going to be suspended in the water, where the water soluble head of the fatty acids are going to be linked with. This activity, when saponification is going to be there and emulsification is going to be there in the blood, the lipid soluble uric acid and bile salts and many other things. Urea as a water soluble is going to be linked with this water soluble head, and a lipid soluble uric acid is going to be linked with the tail of the free fatty acid of the bioactive in nature, and thereby this is being assimilated, the amalgamation, emulsification, because of the saponification which happened, is going to be bringing back the dosha in the chakra to the kosha for the elimination. This is what the Snehapana is going to make out. I just want to show you an article related to that of the what I was speaking about, this activity of the fats. This bioactive lipids. Hope you see the screen. Here the bioactive lipids which are going to be there with. Here the first is the ceramides. Here the ceramides are the very specifically linking with the external signal to the internal cell metabolism, where from the internal cell metabolism, the ceramides are going to drag, affecting the cell growth and arrest cell differentiation, migration, adhesion, senescence, and apoptosis. These are the areas. That means more of the vata activity related with that of the principles which are going to be freely flowing in the blood are linked with that of the ceramides are going to be attractive to that of the sneha which we are giving as a bioactive lipid. The second level of the lipids is diacycloglycerols, DAX, which we are going to say commonly influence the membrane structure and the function. That means intracellular deposited bio waste is going to be brought out from the cell to that of the interstitial compartment, that is intracellular compartment to the interstitial compartment migration, and migration is under the previous ceramide, and here the DACs are going to make this free flow from the intracellular compartment to the interstitial compartment. From the interstitial compartment, it is pushed into the gut where the elimination is going to be done. DACs are going to be with the PKVs, proteins, and the PKVs are going to be having very specifically calcium dependent processes. The calcium is one of the major component in the muscle. Initially, we have taken only the muscle and the nervous tissue as the components with the lipid actions, where the kleda and the sneha or snigdhata is going to be there. Here, the calcium dependent, when you see acetylcholine and calcium synapse is going to be one of the most important thing in the neuromuscular activity. Whenever this neuromuscular activity, a vata vyadhi is going to be there, diacycloglycerols which are going to play an active role, and thereby the bioactive sneha which we are giving, a drug mediated, are going to have the better things. And third is the icosanoids, where this once again signaling the molecules. Here, they are very specific to that of the cell growth and repairing the skeletal muscles. Once again, vata is going to. That is the reason why everywhere in Ayurveda, it is being stated, Sneha is going to treat the vata. You see all the three components out of the five, they are referred to that of the vata functions only. These vata functions which are being specified here with that of this third category, icosanoids are going to be once again with the skeletal muscles, and the neurological development is also included, and prevention of the neurological disorders is also a component for this, like Alzheimer's and other things or bipolar disorder. Here the physical and also psychological both are being brought here. Later, to that of the steroid hormones are also going to be of the lipid soluble, and these are also going to make the transporting thing, where you can see cortisol, stress hormone, and BP hormone, aldosterone, testosterone, male hormone. Testosterone is the female hormone, and progesterone, the pregnancy hormone. These are also under the control of the lipid solubility, and thereby whenever we are supposed to treat these disorders, we have to think of the Sodhana and the Snehapana. And very specifically, to conclude here, the stress, BP, and male hormone activity, female hormone activity, pregnancy activity, these five could be directly dealt with the Kevala Shramana Snehapana and where the Sodhananga Snehapana is not required at all. There we may be using a higher dose of the Brahmana Snehapana, but not the less. This particular article is, you can just refer as a bioactive lipids, and you will be getting in the net also. So here, I wish to conclude, the Snehapana is one of the most important thing which we have to perform in four very specified, where the total principle is embedded with that of the Avapedaka Snehapana, where the Dasavidha Aushadha Kalas are being embedded. Here we have to observe the Snehapana with the Aushadha Kalas, and also Panchavidha Vata involvement in a particular disease. Thereby, we can make a practical, successful Snehapana, Sodhananga Snehapana, and Brahmana Snehapana or the Shamananga Snehapana accordingly. Always the Shamananga Snehapanas are Uttara Bhaktikas, and Sodhananga Snehapanas are the Purva Bhaktikas or Prat Bhaktikas. Thank you very much, and we are going to see back here on next Saturday with another topic which will be announced on the School of Techno Ayurveda.